And we're back again with another King of Fighters 14 trailer impressions. So let's get right into it. Team Art of Fighting. My first impressions of this team, I've always liked the characters of this team, even as they swapped out members throughout the series. As far as the character designs, they haven't changed very much this time around. They're still pretty much, for the most part, in their usual outfits. My impressions of the music in this trailer, I think it sounds pretty cool. I think the music or this theme, it's appropriate for this team, the Art of Fighting team. It has a similar sound to the Art of Fighting team's themes in the past games, I think. It actually sounds somewhat similar to my favorite Art of Fighting theme back in King of Fighters 2003. I think it was called Kyokugen. My impressions of the stage, I think the stage in this trailer is pretty cool. Being a Japanese shrine stage, it has many elements that I like. The moon surrounded by dark clouds, the autumn leaves on the trees, the red and black rails encasing the stage, the lanterns, torches, and statues all make for a pretty cool stage. The character designs on 2/3 of this team haven't changed much other than a few additional details here and there. So instead, I'll talk briefly on my thoughts on the characters in general. First, let's talk about Robert Garcia, or as I like to call him, Roberto Garcia. I can't really roll the R properly, but you get the point. I want to start with him because this character's had a lot of different idol stances and outfits throughout the years. His current outfit seems to combine his Neo Geo Battle Coliseum design, which can be seen from his bangs, his Art of Fighting 3 design, which can be seen from his blue button-up shirt and brown loafers, and his King of Fighters 2003 design, which can be seen from his vest, though it's black this time instead of blue. What idol stance does he have in this game, though? I actually can't get a read on it. It looks like it could be based on his original stance, like it was in King of Fighters 12 and 13, though. Now I'm going to speak less about the character designs and more about my overall impressions of these characters in general, not just in this game. Considering the next two characters, their character designs haven't changed very much. Now with Ryo Sakazaki, the way I see Ryo is just work with me here. If Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter did the Dragon Ball Z fusion dance, you'd get Ryo Sakazaki. He has, at least from my standpoint, what I see, is Ryu's stoic demeanor and a little of Ken's flair. As far as I know, Ryo is a full-blooded Japanese man. But I've been curious because he's got blonde hair and blue eyes. Now I know he's a fictional character, sure. The character designers can create whatever they want. But I've seen a character that I think might be his mom, and if she is, she looks a lot like Barbara Walters. So I'm just wondering, does that mean that he's part white, part Japanese? Or is it just a situation where the character designers decided to make a somewhat arbitrary character design? I don't know, I'm just curious. Anyway, let's move on. Now with Yuri Sakazaki, as a kid, I always adored Sakura from Street Fighter Alpha 2. So for me, Yuri was always like my Sakura, but in the King of Fighters, right? Sakura, like Ryu, is more like an unaltered archetype. So the way I see Yuri now is like if Sakura from Street Fighter had been more of a typical teenage girl. You know what I mean? So in other words, Yuri, while being the fighting schoolgirl character, she's also playful and moody, like, well, a teenager. I think this adds a little extra moxie to her character's personality, you know? Now, my impressions of the gameplay from what they're showing here in this trailer, as expected with a lot of these characters, they're mainly Shoto-style characters, so there's a lot of things that I'm used to seeing, you know, just in fighting games in general. So with Ryo, he's mostly, you know, your typical Shoto-style character. Fireballs, rising uppercuts, spinning aerial kicks, the good stuff you'd come to expect from Ryo. He's still got his parry, like he had in the previous game. He's still got all the same supers that I'm used to him having. Although they didn't show his fireball super though. His strongest super is actually one of the supers I really like in King of Fighters. It's just one powerful punch out of saddle stance. And I always thought it looked really cool because it's just a super with just pure power, just all in one punch. I like the new cinematography they used for this super, but to be honest, I like the way it looked better in King of Fighters 13. For me, being the guy that I am, I noticed certain details. So That's just my own personal taste. You know, it's for compositional purposes and animation, stuff like that. I notice that kind of stuff. But it still looks cool here. I like the new cinematic angle that they took. Robert Garcia, he's also got some familiar moves, like that kick that reminds me of Tekken's Lee Chaolan's acid rain kick. It looks cool. I think he's had that for a while. He probably had it before Lee and Tekken. He still shows off. He has the super fireball, and Robert's strongest super in this game looks brand new as far as I know. It looks cool, it's cinematic, and I think it suits him. Yuri Sakazaki, she has a lot of familiar moves as well. I like the extra flair that they added to some of her pre-existing moves. Like how she blows herself all the way across the screen onto her butt after her Super Saiha special move. I'm pretty sure Yuri's strongest super is new to her. It was different in the previous game, and I think it was different in the games before that. I like that she adds her own little touches to it. I like that kind of thing because it adds personality to her character through her moves, which is something I look for in video games. My final thoughts on this trailer. Overall, the team looks cool. I've always liked these characters, so the Art of Fighting team is not something I was expecting to end up disliking. I kind of had expectations for what they would be like, and I think they met those expectations. Chances are I'll end up trying these characters out, at least just to see how they feel in this new game. On another note, I wonder if they'll have special intros between certain characters. I don't recall Kyo versus Iori having one, did they? Also, I have another DLC idea. For Ryo, how about a Mr. Karate DLC? With facial hair and a worn black karate gi. You know, kind of like he had in Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. I kind of like that look he had. And maybe even a version with the ceremonial Tengu mask and white hair. I think that would be pretty cool as an alternate. So anyway, those are my thoughts for the Team Art of Fighting trailer. For anyone watching this video, what are your impressions? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video.